and welcome Friday edition SimWorld today. It is February 7th. I am Marsh, joined for a fifth straight day for a sixth episode together of some content piece this week. Good morning, Rick. How are you?
Hey man, it's Friday. The freaks come out. Let's run it.
It's Freaky Friday, if one Chris Brown and Lil Dicky are to be referenced. We have plenty to get to. We are finally going to be talking a little bit more football. We talked high level yesterday, but the Super Bowl, did you know, coming up on Sunday. If you didn't, because you were consumed with the trade deadline, don't worry, we're starting there. But that has been what has dominated the week. If the SWBA, as I've said many times, ever wanted a proof point that they can win the media, this week is that week leading up to the Super Bowl. We have had more coverage about the trade deadline and all the chaos that surrounds it. Do we repeat it next year? We will find out. But let's do one final send-off. The end of eras, just like end of players' tenures in Dallas and Miami and Golden State, all are coming to an end. We too are coming to an end of our trade deadline coverage. So your final takeaways, Rick. I know we did a long pod. You should all watch it. Last night we did that with Rico, recapping everything that went down and kind of our
Really
immediate
good pod.
takeaways. But your final takeaways from the trade deadline.
A few things. One, the fact that Golden State is all in on Jimmy Butler. This is a risque move by Golden State. They're getting a player who's at this point in time is more known for what he's just doing off the court than what he's been doing on the court as of late. And so the desperation, so to speak, about Golden State is one thing that stands out. The end of an era with the Dallas Mavericks and Luka Doncic. They've lost their future star, and now they have to find a new star in Dallas. I guess they're all in. It's hard to say that they're all in when you trade a top 10 current player and then you get back a top 10 talent that doesn't play all the time. I guess they're all in. I don't know what Dallas is. They have to say they're all in, but I don't know what they're doing. So I guess it's a question mark for the Mavericks because I'm not sure if they're saying we're competing for now or we're competing for. I have no idea. So the Golden State situation, them going all in on Jimmy Butler, Dallas situation with a looming question mark, and the Raptors building a young squad. Yeah, that's out. It's left field. I gotta give you something like. Gotta give you a curveball. The Raptors building a young squad to see if they can compete down the line in the Eastern Conference.
Toronto confuses the hell out of me because you like sort of went into a rebuild and then you're like, actually, you know what we'd love to do? Give up the pick that we got for Pascal Siakam and bring in Brandon Ingram and add to this already bloated contract decks that we like. Masai Ujiri went from being like maybe the most respected general manager in the league to I think Nico Harrison as the top spot is what the hell are you doing? But Masai Ujiri might be like number 2. You held on to Fred VanVleet way too long. You took the assets that you got for Pascal Siakam and turned them into Brandon Ingram. Like if that's what you wanted to do, you should have just kept Pascal Siakam. And now you've got RJ Barrett, what's the kid's name from the Knicks that I'm blanking on now. But you got Barrett, you've got Scotty Barnes.
They're heavy. They're wing heavy for sure.
Yeah, you gave up big money to get Jakob Poeltl. I don't know what's happening. To me, the big takeaway is turns out trades aren't as hard to happen, and when they do happen, they are chaotic. And you know what? For the drama of it, I'm here for it. You know, I've been hearing all the reports. I understand the trade deadline for the players. And this is, I think, maybe the biggest chasm between players and fans is the players hate the trade deadline because there's so much uncertainty around it. And you hear all the reports out of Golden State where it was this emotional closed-door locker room where Steve Kerr gives this very teary-eyed press conference, but more importantly, the announcement to the team and players that got dealt. And I understand from a player standpoint that it's a very unnerving experience to be traded. But from a general drama standpoint, I kind of loved how chaotic all the deals were. That's my biggest takeaway. We talked enough yesterday about all of the individual deals, but just how nonsensical something. Like I literally said, Jimmy Butler's not going to the Golden State Warriors. I said that like 2 months ago. I said financially it can't work. Well, little old me didn't feel like figuring out how a 4-team trade works. I mean, this to me is just the best part of it. It's just You sit there, the news is released, and then you have to break down. And I understand that it's not going to be a majority take. I like the inner workings of deals like that, and I understand that most teams or most people are going to be like, just give me like the 1-to-1, the Luca to the AD. At least I know what happened in that deal. I like just all the crazy machinations because I actually think it's going to force teams to be a lot more creative with the type of rosters they build, right? You have to figure out, okay, we need contracts that we can move, right? So if we want to go get a star, we might have to overpay for a guy. And what does that end up meaning in the long run? I like the intrigue and the drama that overpays are inevitably going to happen because you need larger contract, like the Bruce Brown contract is a big contract that is not representative of who he is, but you need it to try to get other guys in the locker room. And that's what the Toronto Raptors ended up doing. And that's what the Toronto Raptors did before when they ended up trading away Pascal Siakam. So I enjoy that little nugget of it,
Yeah,
understanding it's a bit of
and
a bit
also
of
I think
a
another big
take.
takeaway is the fact that for once the SWBA is on par, at least maybe a little bit ahead of the SWFL on Super Bowl weekend. That's probably
Yes.
never happened, or I can't recall the last time it's happened. So I'm sure the players are not with the chaos, but I know the league loves what they saw with the ratings and how much coverage the
Yeah.
SWBA received around this time of year, which is usually dead for the SWBA because Super Bowl is king normally. This is one of those few times that is not. Now, that means you probably got to have a major star traded every season in order to duplicate this. I don't know, but at least for this one time, they saw it can happen. You can make the SWFL take a back seat for a few days if worked correctly.
Which is absolutely stunning. So let's go right to it. We're gonna do a couple two little finish the sentence. All right. I know we talked high level. We made our picks last night or yesterday, but let's finish this sentence for me, Rick. The Chiefs win the Super Bowl if.
If everything remains status quo, is Taylor Swift still going to be there? Yep. Is she's probably going to bring a friend and the cameraman too? Yep. Are the referees still reporting to work on Sunday? Yep. Is Patrick Mahomes still Patrick Mahomes? Yep. If the Chiefs just come and show up and be the Chiefs, they have an ample opportunity to win, especially with the surrounding factors that I just mentioned.
I don't disagree. I would say the Chiefs win if they keep this game close. Right, I'm gonna go less conspiratorial and more on the field for you, but the Chiefs win if they keep this thing close. Why? Because they have this insane track record, and this might be where the bubble pops. Right, you talk about the dot-com bubble, you talk about the housing bubble. We're getting a little financial there for you, but the bubble for the Chiefs is close games they win. Close games they win. And I said this yesterday. I am tired. This was the year I thought the bubble popped, right? The Chiefs bubble in general. But the fact that they've won, I think, 15 or 16 straight one possession games, at some point the bubble's going to pop. I don't know that it's going to pop in the Super Bowl. If it's going to pop, it's going to pop like week 3 of the next season. So to me, the Chiefs win if this thing is close. And Patrick Mahomes has the football with the ball in his hand, with less than 5 minutes to play. Heck, it could be less than 6 minutes to play based off the Bills game, and the chance to tie or take the lead. If that's the case, the Chiefs are winning the Super Bowl. Let's go to the other side then, Rick. The Eagles win if.
So the Eagles, it's interesting. If you line the positions up from both teams, the Eagles have better guys at their positions in most positions. I would say in 85% of the positions, the Eagles have better players there. Quarterback not being one of them, but so the Eagles win if their offensive line dominates. That's a big task because the Chiefs have a really good defensive line anchored by Chris Jones. But if the offensive line can if Saquon can have 100+ yards and Hurts can play turnover-free football, the Eagles have a very good chance to win. I expect this to be a very, very close game, a one-possession game, and the Eagles can win if they run the ball well, which also means they own the time of possession. If Hurts plays turnover-free football and makes the plays when he needs to make the plays.
Yeah, the Chiefs or excuse me, if you put Patrick Mahomes inside the Eagles offense, or
Oh my
put
gosh.
the Eagles offense with
That's
Patrick,
not even
whichever
that's a
way,
video game now. It's not even
that
fair.
is maybe the most disruptive offense of all time. I mean, Dallas Goedert has been a better tight end this season than Travis Kelce. I don't think that's up for debate. There's no debate that the wide receivers and the running backs, the skill position players for the Eagles, are tenfold better than what the Chiefs put out there. And to give Jalen Hurts respect, I mean, he's been a good quarterback. They're in the Super Bowl. You don't make the Super Bowl
Yep.
with a bad quarterback, right? You
Yep.
just don't in the modern league. But if you put, I mean, that's maybe the greatest offense ever assembled. If you just switch the quarterbacks, and financially, you're probably not that far away from that. Um, you know, making it work contractually. Obviously, you turn the salary cap off. It's easy to make an awesome team, but you could literally do it within the current constraints. To me, the Eagles win if Saquon Barkley gets loose. If the Eagle, and you mentioned it, if the Eagles' running game is effective, I think they win this football game. And one of my biggest frustrations with the rhetoric around the Chiefs is that we continue to talk about, well, they don't have any offensive weapons, and Patrick Mahomes doesn't have his doesn't put up big numbers, and he hasn't really been a great statistical quarterback this season. And all of that is giving us the answer of why this Chiefs team is so good. Their defense is incredible. Chris Jones in the front. Their secondary is very strong. They have great line. They have great penetrative defensive players at all three levels that allows them to get pressure on the quarterback, as is evident with a great head coach uh, who brings a corner blitz on fourth down against Josh Allen. Like their defense is so incredible. That's what they've invested in that we just have completely glossed over it. And that's going to be why they can win this football game. It's why the Eagles, if they get rolling and Saquon Barkley has a effective game, this is where the Eagles win the game. They
Yep.
need to make that defense look pedestrian. And no team has done that yet this season. We talk time and time again about the the Chiefs offense. Well, they haven't scored 30 points and they're still winning games. What does that tell you? That tells you this defense is absolutely dominant, and that's the pathway for me. Eagles win if Saquon Barkley has an exceptionally effective game, and you're able to make the vaunted, a very good, if under-respected Chiefs defense look pedestrian.
And they're gonna have to do that. You don't. The Eagles. I tell you how the Eagles don't win. If Jalen Hurts have to throw the ball 30 plus times, the
Yeah,
Eagles do not win with that situation. So they have to make this running game work one way or the other.
yeah.
Whether you get Hurts out on some bootlegs, some design runs, they have to loosen up this Chiefs defense to have a chance to win this game. Like you said, both teams are solid defensively. The Chiefs is probably their strong suit this season. But throw all the regular season stuff out the window at this point.
Yep.
None of that, none of it matters anymore. You need to be great for one game. You need to do something that you haven't done, or a player needs to make a play that they haven't played for one game, and it all goes out of the window. And I think position player wise, the Eagles have more players with the talent to be crazy great for one game.
Hmm.
But if it's close, and number 15 that's wearing this hot ass red has the football in his hands, hey, we're going to Disney World. It is what it is. He just don't lose if it's close with the ball in his hands. He does not lose.
The interesting thing to all of this is if you look back, I think it's since like 2000, for any Super Bowl that featured one team flying west to get there and one team flying east to get to the destination, the team flying west, in this case the Philadelphia Eagles, have won the Super Bowl every single time. That does not
Come
include,
on with
right? It's
the
two
come
teams
on
flying
with the
east. That's it. The Eagles would
wow.
track that mark of the team that flew west has always beaten the team that's flown east, and by just a couple latitudinal. I think it's latitude, right? It's vertical.
Latitude
Uh,
on the morning show.
lines.
Come on.
Yeah, you got some big words. I think they are west, but it is, or excuse me, they are flying east. The Chiefs are, but just ever so slightly. Kansas City to
Wow.
New Orleans. So there's your
March
if
with
you're
the inadequate stat that just may be big enough for me to somebody put some money down on. That is
look at that.
crazy.
There you go.
Interesting stat,
We're
Mark.
bringing information. We're bringing information to you. All right, that's our show. We're coming back on Monday to recap the trade deadline again. No, we're doing Super Bowl on Monday. We'll talk college basketball as well as we keep rolling. But appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you being along for the ride of what has been just an absolutely chaotic week in the basketball world at the SWBA level. Hey, college hoops conference play continues to ramp up. We got some
Good
conversation for
basketball
that.
games.
Coming
Yeah.
up next week, of course, as we dial in on how do we get to Hoopsteria. That is going to come up here in the next couple days. So, Rick, as always, appreciate you coming on. Thank you all for tuning in here on SimWorld TV, the only place you can see the. Oh wait, by the way, yeah, hold on, a little prep for this next week. Villanova Butler, you like Big East hoops? How about it's gonna be Game of the Week action with Justin Bell, Sean Chapman Daly, Wildcats and Bulldogs, top 25 matchup with a chance to sit atop the Big East on the line. Villanova making their case, or trying to, for the #1 team in the country. That's on Tuesday, our Game of the Week in the Big East. All right, now, Rick, appreciate you joining, and still appreciate you all for tuning in. We're back on Monday on SimWorld TV, the only place you can see the game, be the game.
Stay safe, folks.
This has been a presentation